Mary Trump, welcome to I've Had It. You have two fans.
Big fans.
In us. And I think I mentioned to you via email, my mother is a huge fan of yours.
Yes.
Has read your books. She prepared a list of questions for us.
I love that.
She studied psychology when I was in middle school, went back to college. So your slant on all of the political stuff that's going on with rooting it back into psychology is incredibly interesting, especially with your bird's eye view from, so many decades.
I really appreciate the appreciation of the psychology because, particularly with my first book, I felt like if I didn't nail the psychology in a way that had a lot of explanatory power for people who maybe weren't so familiar with the terminology, I would have failed. So it makes me very happy when especially people who have a background in psychology feel like I got it right.
We don't have psychology degrees, but we have been in so much psychoanalysis and therapy that we feel like we're psychologists. Jennifer even plays one on the podcast sometimes.
I play a psychologist / psychoanalyst on this podcast. I've had it with the caveat to the listener that I'm not a licensed psychologist. However, I've had, years and years and years of therapy, so I feel like I am one. But Mary, we want to ask you today, what have you had it with?
Where to start? I think my answer changes every time I look at the news. But today I read a poll, or I read an article about a poll showing that Donald and Biden are neck and neck. And I know it's early days. I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But to me, that is a sign of how far we've fallen.
Right.
You hear about Biden's age. Well, Biden's old. Okay, well, Donald is a racist, homophobic, anti-American traitor who tried to steal election and, by the way, is also old.
Right.
And charged with 91 felonies.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I see that didn't even make my list.
Right. I mean, but I agree with you. It's really alarming. We live in a red state. We live in Oklahoma City, but in the city, it's purple. So I don't really see like this overt Trumpism. But if you get a little bit outside and into the suburbs, I'm like, oh shit, there they are. And they're for real. Because if you live in an urban area, you feel like, oh, okay, yeah. America's good. Everybody's normal. Nobody's I'm around is homophobic. Nobody I'm around is a racist. This is good. We all seem to be fighting the good fight. And then you just get a little bit outside of urban areas and it's jaw-dropping what's going on. And then all of those areas add up to be a number that is equal to the populated areas. And it's terrifying because we live in an abortion ban America. So we live in a state where these policies and those Supreme Court justices are impacting women in our state. There has been a backlash. Our most recent gubernatorial race, a lot of women that I was for sure were Republicans, all of a sudden are out of the closet. No, we're not. We oppose Trump. We oppose this Supreme Court, and they're getting louder and organizing in red states. So I think that that's going to be really helpful and an interesting component. But what we were talking about before you came on here was everybody has a crazy uncle, and you fucking win, Mary.
Hey, that is a lottery I would have been more than happy to lose. But, yeah. And actually, just a quick funny story. During a debate, I don't remember which one it was. It may have been the debate with President Biden before the 2020 election. One of the moderators, in response to some idiotic thing Donald said, was, come on, you're not somebody's crazy uncle. And all I tweeted, actually, ... that none of my tweets has ever performed better. So it was, he's out of his mind. Not that should let him off the hook for anything, but it seems like we all do have at least one of those in our family, and it's really taking a toll, hasn't it?